For as long as I can remember, I've made a point to cut my hair to fit a certain mold. I always felt that society's had kind of a predetermined way that we're supposed to look based on what we're supposed to be doing. Whether we're in a professional role and we're supposed to be clean shaven, have short, cleaned up hair, or maybe we're in a creative role and supposed to have longer hair and grow out a beard and really resemble what we're trying to do with our life. The first creators that actually ever got me interested in YouTube and excited about YouTube were Rhett and Link. They have a book that they put out maybe a year ago, and there's a chapter specifically in that book that talks about their hairstyles throughout their years. And I feel like just like their kind of narrative that each of their timestamps in their life come with specific hairstyles, I think I can kind of separate my life into 5 distinct benchmarks based on my different types of hairstyles. The first chapter is from age 0 to age 9. It's pretty much the point in my life where my mom had full control of my hair. I remember looking back on photos and I had a bowl cut maybe through kindergarten, and then myself and my brother, we would both go to the salon and we would both get completely buzzed once every other month or so, just buzzed it right off. And that kind of leads to the second chapter, which is where I would say I started to have decision making and what my hair looked like. So from the ages of 9 to 15, instead of just shaving my hair every single time I'd go, I started to kind of grow it out a little bit more. Wasn't really doing anything too deliberately. I think I unintentionally had the Justin Bieber haircut, the mop, but that was kind of the look for that time period, I guess. The third chapter is from the age 15 to roughly age 21. Most of my high school and early college career. Still really no societal pressures of how it had to look, and kind of went through a few different similar hairstyles, mostly on the shorter side. I was trying a bunch of different products and pomades and fibers and shines and holds and textures, and really still kind of looked the same way, but there was a lot of different experimenting with what I could do with it. But kind of the biggest turn in my chapters come at the age of 21. The fourth chapter of my hair timeline is where society started to have an impact on how I wanted to look. At age 21, I was wrapping up college, starting to have full-time internships and an occupation, and always pretty much being the youngest person there, wanting to look professional, wanting to be respected, and because of that, having really short hair, often 6 weeks between every haircut, no beard, or if it was a beard, it was really clean cut, and doing everything I could so that I didn't stand out. Nobody questioned my age, nobody questioned my seriousness, my unprofessionalism, and really tried to chameleon myself into a working environment such that I felt like I belonged and that there wasn't really any insecurity of whether or not people were talking about me or felt that maybe I wasn't professional and didn't belong. And that mentality was pretty steadfast from ages 21 all the way up till maybe 24, 25, really until the pandemic hit. And, it didn't matter which job I was in, it was always trying to blend in, trying to make myself like as professional as possible and disguise that maybe I was the youngest person in any room at any of these jobs. It wasn't really until the pandemic where I think we started to have a lot of time to ourselves. The societal pressure started to ease off a little bit as we were isolated, started to be more charismatic and creative with our decisions. Once I shaved my head, I kind of quickly realized that wasn't a look I loved. But I think at that point, I started to feel like I wasn't gonna let other people dictate my appearance, whether I was trying to be professional or creative. And from that moment on, which was pretty early in the pandemic, for about a good year, we didn't really know if barbershops were gonna open up, and maybe when they did, were we gonna feel comfortable going into them. And I made just the decision that I was just gonna grow my hair out from that point on. And I kind of was able to transition through all the different hairstyles that I'd had throughout all the years up until maybe February of this year, when kind of all of the insecurities that I had previously thought were gone came flooding back in for me. I had scheduled a job interview and I became very self-conscious of the way I looked and started to let the voice inside me dictate maybe that it was a time to cut my hair in some capacity, to be more professional for this interview.
I was already sleeping. You woke me up and I knew you were nervous, but I wasn't really sure why. You've always been very confident in school and getting your first job, and this one was definitely a little different. So you asked me it was about 10:30 at night to give you a haircut for your interview in the morning. And I was half asleep and I kind of just brushed it off, and you kept asking. I just didn't really understand why it was so important to you, but We got up, went to the bathroom, I grabbed my scissors, and since it was a little longer in the back, I agreed to chop a few inches off in the back, and we went to bed and he crushed his interview, and that was that.
For me, I think that was really one of the last times I let the societal pressures of looking a specific way impact how I live my life. Since then, for the last 8 or 9 months now, I've continued to grow my hair out. I've been in a very professional role, and I've definitely heard the chatter. I've heard people make, backhanded compliments or quips or remarks about it, and it brushes right off of me. I don't really feel like my ability to do my job well has anything to do with my appearance. And so as we start to build this brand more and more, and I'm juggling the idea of being both creative and being professional, it's nice to know that I don't have to let my appearance dictate either of those in my ability to be creative or professional and successful in those roles. It has nothing to do with whether I have short hair or long hair or a beard or no beard or anything like that. And so now I feel like it's a good time to end this chapter of my hairstyle life and to start another one. So here's to a new chapter of embracing change and not letting other people dictate aspects of my life and finding out what it means to be a social pine cone.